Present day. Present time.
You know, people can say that the open source community is unstoppable, and I agree. I agree until you look at who controls the tools we send all the open source code through. Because if you think everything is sunshine and penguins on Linux, let me introduce you to a little website called GitHub, a $1 trillion company that owns it. Yeah, the biggest open source collaborating platform in the world. Yeah, owned by Microsoft. Now sleep tight and let's get into this. Now, open source is powerful. Linux, Proton, Mesa, Wine, KDE, all built by people who actually care. It grows fast, it innovates fast, it fixes problems fast. But here's the part nobody talks about. If the platform that hosts your open source code is it's owned by a company whose entire business model is proprietary, you don't have an open source problem. You have a control problem. Now, Microsoft buying GitHub wasn't evil. Well, at least for now. I'll get a little bit into that. But it was smart. Why? Well, why fight open source when you can just own the building where everyone meets up? GitHub is where Linux kernels get mirrored, drivers get tested, app gets built, millions of open source projects pretty much live there. Every developer and their grandma stores their code there. So imagine buying the world's biggest library and nobody else has a bigger one. Now you don't need to burn books. You just own the shelves. Okay, here's where the real game flips. So after GitHub got bought, companies solidly started switching to restricted licenses like Elastic, MongoDB, Redis, HashiCorp, and for the sake of this video, I'm gonna name them Cockroach DB and more because there are a bunch of little roaches. So these are new licenses, are open source. They are, look, they're like the type of licenses that are like, look, but don't touch. Why? Because cloud companies. And yes, that includes Microsoft Azure. We're eating open source alive while contributing nothing back. So now we get licenses that protect corporations, not the community. And guess who benefits when open source innovation slows down? Yeah, the company selling you the subscriptions. Yeah. Oh, eh. Huh. That not sus at all. Don't get it twisted. Open source still is stronger than proprietary. Linux gaming exploded. Proton destroyed Windows only myth. Vulkan is maturing. Nvidia even had open source parts of their drivers because Linux growth is too big to ignore at this point. But that doesn't mean everything is perfect. So when corporations own your tools, your licenses, and your hosting, they don't need to kill open source. They just slow it down. All they gotta do, they just introduce its licenses and start slowing down the progress. Now, look, if I run an evil mega corporation with a twirling mustache just laughing from the corner, I'll do exactly what they're doing. Buy the biggest open source platforms, influence what licenses people use, make developers rely on cloud services, control the pipeline, and easy world domination mode. Pretty much, or open source domination, I guess. So open source technically wouldn't die, but it'll just get a lot slower. So proprietary software could pretty much catch up. So before you decide to call me a conspirator in the comments, like there's always that one person, let's look back at the Halloween files. So what are the Halloween files for those that don't know? So the Halloween files were these files that Microsoft put together how they're going to slow down and possibly destroy the open source community, because open source software was actually a threat to proprietary software. And Bill Gates actually put things in it and how they were going to infiltrate and try to destroy or at least slow down open source software because it was just too much of a competition. Yeah, and this was back in the 90s. And a lot of the things in those files that talks how they wanted to actually kill it or slow it down, because at one point in the files, they realized they can't destroy it, but they could slow down the process. Well, guess what? A lot of those things are actually happening. So they weren't completely wrong. And that plan is still happening to this day. And a lot of those plans actually are showing the results. But yeah, it's kind of working. So yeah, open source community is incredible, but don't ignore the environment that they're forced to work in. And just keep in mind, a lot of these mega corporations are still to this day influencing the open source community. I wish in a perfect world we could just break away from them, but It seems like everything's just been normalized in the industry standard now. It's not what it used to be in the 90s. Anyway, let me know if you think corporations are helping open source or if they're just playing four-dimensional chess while we pretend it's checkers. So, I'm less spooky. As always, you know what to do. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, as always, stay spooky, stay weird, and bye. I don't fucking know what to say. Bye. Peace.
Dim, dam, dadilam, vacarme s'en va dans l'oubli éternel. Et Gustave, dom guardiam, dilim, dididididam, lutes serado didom, seram. Dim, dim, da da da, dim, dim, da da da, dim.